We have a massive Cowboys update as this changes everything for the Dallas Cowboys. One of their newly drafted players has suffered now an injury setback after already coming off a torn ACL, and we now have no official return date on Shavon Revel Jr. Welcome in here to Cowboys Digest. I'm Jace Andrews, and I appreciate you joining us. We've got a full update to get to here on Shavon Revel. It's looking like he potentially will not be ready for the start of the regular season, and given this cornerback room's health right now, that is a huge thing. Before that, though, if you're looking for news, updates, info about the Dallas Cowboys, we are your place. Hit that subscribe button because I promise you're not going to need to go anywhere else for your Dallas Cowboys news. Okay, let's go into the report. Obviously, Shavon Revel Jr., he came off a torn ACL. That's why he went in the third round, not in the first. Well, now, per an NFL insider, that being Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, he has suffered a setback with his knee, which obviously that's where the ACL was. And it's not exactly what you want to hear right now for the Dallas Cowboys, given their health issues at the cornerback position. And so, again, talking about Shavon Revel Jr., let's get a little bit of a backstory before we go too far into this report. He was projected to be a first-round pick. He was that caliber of player at Eastern Carolina University. Yes, the talent may not have been that good, but the athlete was there for Shavon. He returned balls at Eastern Carolina. He actually had one pass, funny enough, there, and he was overall just an athlete as a Pirate at ECU. And now, obviously, the Cowboys did a fantastic job, I think, drafting for the most part. I'm not going to talk too much about all of them just because the first-round pick I have my own opinions about. However, he was the best pick available in round 3, Shavon Revel Jr. was. And so the Cowboys went out, they selected an athlete. They selected a guy who they believe can go out there and potentially be a number 2 guy on their depth chart. And depending on what happens in the future, obviously DaRon Bland, Trevon Diggs, what ends up happening with them. We know that DaRon Bland is going to require some pay here soon. It really just depends, but Shavon Revel Jr. can come out here and be a very good cornerback 3. And in that position, that's what the Cowboys wanted. Obviously, that's why the ACL wasn't that big of a concern to them, because this year wasn't going to be, I'm not going to say not needed, but not as important as maybe years to come. But then you get the injury on Trevon Diggs, obviously, last year, and now coming up, really rolling over into this year in some ways, where it's very questionable if Trevon will be ready for week 1 for the Dallas Cowboys. So that takes out one quarterback. Shavon Revel Jr., who you expected at least to be ready by the regular season, now that could take out a second quarterback. That's why yesterday, when Jaire Alexander signed with the Baltimore Ravens, the Cowboys immediately pivoted and signed Robert Rochelle, who, again, we don't know if he's going to make the roster, but because of the situation with this cornerback room, they are going to go out and try and figure this out. So I've kind of held off enough. Let's go into the report here. The first from Josh Sanchez of Dallas Cowboys SI saying, quote, "There was some rumblings that Revel was expected to start training camp on the PUP list, and he would be healthy for the start of the regular season. However, that could be in jeopardy, according to a new update from SportsIllustrated.com's Albert Breer," end quote. Now, I trust Albert Breer. He's been a guy who has been really covering football for most of my life, if not a little more than my life in some ways, and he's very knowledgeable, especially on the Dallas Cowboys organization. Now, he went on a podcast on YouTube, and he said this, Brandon Laurie, and said, when discussing the Cowboys draft class, Albert Breer added that cornerback Shavon Revel Jr. had, quote, "a little bit of a setback with his knee," end quote. Now, maybe Breer can clarify if that's a recent update. I'm not going to want to assume, but given Dallas's health at corner, it's worth noting. And the unfortunate part about this is Breer hasn't really said much since this. Now, this was mentioned yesterday morning, and I kind of put the brakes on the video to push it out there because I was hoping Albert Breer would come out and say, this is what I meant, this is what happened, this is when he's going to be ready. But it's been radio silent. There's been nothing that we've heard from Albert Breer. There's been nothing that we've heard from the Dallas Cowboys. It's just been a little bit of a setback. Now, what could have a little bit of a setback mean? Well, with a guy with a torn ACL, a little bit of setback could mean a couple of different things. When he's expected to start on the PUP list, but be ready for the regular season, okay, I'm talking a little bit of a setback of week 4, week 5 potentially, but there's no say that he could be till maybe week 11, week 12. Like, it could be deeper into the season until we see Shavon Revel Jr. And not to say by that point it'd be mute, but they really need him at the start because Trevon Diggs, not exactly healthy. And this cornerback room is in a very interesting place because obviously they signed Robert Rochelle. And the guys here, I'm not going to say are bad by any means, but Deron Bland is your guy now, and pretty much everybody else is tough. I do like Kalen Carson, the cornerback, 21-year-old out of Wake Forest. I think he actually could end up being our starting quarterback come week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles if Revel Jr. is out and if Trevon Diggs is out. And there's questions if he's going to make the roster. From what I'm hearing in minicamp, he has done a fantastic job, and he is going to make the roster and potentially be a key factor for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, CJ Osborne is also a guy with experience, 29 years old. He could easily pop in there as well. So a couple of different things for the Cowboys to kind of go out and look at this current time. But you really would like to see Shavon Revel Jr. healthy and make it to where he can be a part of this team, because let's go back into looking what this guy was able to do before his ACL. Josh Sanchez, again, of Dallas Cowboys SI, saying, quote, "If Revel can return to his pre-injury form with the Cowboys, he will immediately upgrade the secondary in desperate need of another standout player at that position." End quote. And he's right. The Cowboys are in desperate need of a third guy behind Bland, behind Diggs. Even if Trevon is able to go week 1, you really want that number 3 there that the Cowboys just do not have at this current time. And coming into the offseason, or at least up right now, there's a couple of positions of note that the Cowboys, you expect them to make some moves at. That would be cornerback, which they signed Robert Rochelle. Defensive tackle, they signed Perrion Winfrey yesterday. And then running back, which, again, they signed Javonte Williams. They got Miles Sanders. They drafted Jaden Blue. But none of those guys are certified RB1s by any stretch of the imagination. And now you sit here and say, okay, we are literally almost right at about a month away. I'm probably closer to a month and a half from the preseason starting. Things kind of need to start kicking up a notch here. And so for Shavon Revel Jr., a guy who was a big athlete in college, I go back to his stats here. Before he got injured, 2023, 55 total tackles, 30 of those solo, and 1 sack, 1 interception. Even this past year, when he had only 8 total tackles, he had 2 interceptions, obviously the ACL kind of taking out, including a pick 6, 50-yard pick 6 as well. I mentioned he was a returner as well. Came out and had a returning touchdown in both 2023 and 2024. He also had a pass in 2024, so kind of funny to see that. But overall, this guy's an athlete. This guy's going to be a guy who the Cowboys can rely on for some time at the cornerback position. But this update is concerning. Again, the Cowboys room is very much at a, I'm not going to say standstill, but it's a place that needs some help. Trevon Diggs is great. Deron Bland is great. CJ Osborne's past his time. Kalen Carson, he's 21 and young, but he was never meant to be a number 3 guy. Shavon Revel Jr. has that chance. He has the chance to be that. But for now, it's the Cowboys just hoping that it'll work out. And so that's where we sit right now, waiting for some updates. And again, that's why I waited so long to make this video, because I wanted Albert Breer to come out and clarify what he meant. But now it just leaves us sitting here waiting. Now it just leaves us sitting here on who exactly is going to take that cornerback 3 slot if Shavon is not ready to go. Well, that's all we got. That's kind of what we have. We wait and see what happens. And for now, we will say peace out here. I appreciate you watching. If you are new here, again, hit that subscribe button. Obviously, if you at the end of the video, you're liking our content. So, as always, we'll see you next time, and peace out here on Cowboys Digest.